Lesson number 1, is there a takeover happening in Jacksonville? Look, it wasn't just that Tank Bigsby was better than Travis Etienne in week 5. I mean, he obviously was, but he's been better than Travis Etienne almost the entire season this year. When you look at Tank Bigsby on the season, he's first among all running backs in rush yards over expectation. He's the third highest graded running back among all running backs, and he's first in yards per carry. Meanwhile, Travis Etienne ranks 18th, 55th, and 27th respectively. Now, I know Doug Peterson is saying, no, this is still Travis Etienne's backfield. Don't worry about it. But, I have this theory that the best players get the ball more, and as the season goes on, teams want to get the best players the ball. We already saw in week 5 Tank Bigsby over double the carries of Travis Etienne. Why wouldn't this just continue? He's been so good. Now, I will say on one knock here on Tank Bigsby is he doesn't catch passes. That is still Travis Etienne's role. But I could certainly see this becoming Tank Bigsby as the early down back, with Travis Etienne as more of just a change of pace back as the season goes on. This is the time to sell Travis Etienne if at all possible. And if for some reason Tank Bigsby is still on your waiver wire, go get him. Lesson number 2, Rhamondre is still the workhorse in New England. Yeah, all that talk about him getting benched for Antonio Gibson. What's funny about this is if you watch our live streams on Saturday and Sunday, and we got a lot of Rhamondre questions, I said, what this feels like to me? It feels like Jared Mayo is going to give Antonio Gibson the first series to kind of teach him a lesson, and then it will be all Rhamondre. And hey, that's exactly what happened in this game. Rhamondre Stevenson was great. Another top 5 week for Rhamondre in your PPR leagues. He's clearly the workhorse running back going forward. There should be no panic here. And if there is still a buy low window in your league, go get Rhamondre Stevenson. The only thing that could really stop Rhamondre Stevenson at this point is himself if he keeps fumbling, but let's hope he got the message and he'll hold that ball more securely going forward. And the only thing that could stop you from winning on Underdog is not taking advantage of this Brock Purdy new customer special on Thursday Night Football. He only needs 1 yard. He gets that, and you win instantly right there. Pair it with any other pick or picks you like. And if you join using promo code ENDGAME, you also get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. What are you waiting for? Go join Underdog. Use promo code ENDGAME. Lesson number 3, Kenneth Walker is finally ready to be a league-winning running back. I've always said with Kenneth Walker, he's a good real-life running back and just an okay fantasy running back because he doesn't catch passes. But all offseason, we heard from this coaching staff, they view him as a 3-down back, and we have seen that so far. He has a 51% route participation on the season, which ranks 11th among every single running back, and despite only playing 3 games, he's 17th among all running backs in targets. If Kenneth Walker is going to finally be a pass-catching running back to go with that explosive home run hitting running back, that touchdown upside running back, yes, Kenneth Walker legit has league-winning upside in all fantasy formats out there. If you have Kenneth Walker right now, hold on tight, and if there is any kind of buy low window on Kenneth Walker, take advantage of it and go get him now. Lesson number 3, Brian Thomas Jr. has arrived. I talked about him on the 10 stats video. If you watched that on Saturday before the game to help get you ready, hopefully you did and you started him. But in that video, I talked about his first read percentage. I said it had gone from 17 to 22 to 33 in week 4, and in week 5, it was another strong 32%. That means he's the guy Trevor Lawrence is looking for first in this offense. And over the last 2 weeks, he ranks 8th in expected fantasy points, and you got to think he's only going to get better. Remember, he's only played 5 NFL games. Rookies usually get better as the year goes on. Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, even Rome Odunze, they got all the hype, in this rookie class in fantasy drafts, and deservedly so. But Brian Thomas Jr. right now looking like the best bargain among all rookie wide receivers, and he still hasn't had that huge game yet. He still hasn't had that massive explosion game. I still think there is a buy low window on Brian Thomas Jr. Go out, try to get him now before he becomes a league winner down the stretch. And hey, real quick before I get to the rest of the lessons, if you're enjoying the video or getting value out of it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click that like button. It only takes a second. We appreciate it. Lesson number 5, T. Higgins continues to be the most underrated wide receiver in real life and fantasy. Since coming back from that hamstring injury in week 3, he ranks 6th among all wide receivers in expected fantasy points. He also ranks 14th in first read percentage, which, by the way, is ahead of Jamar Chase. And he also ranks 7th in targets, which, again, ahead of Jamar Chase. He has been getting incredible usage in this offense. I talked about it during the offseason when he was still healthy, of course. I said, look, he's on a contract year. He's in his prime. He's a talented wide receiver. He is going to show out this year, and he has so far, and we really saw it in week 5. A huge game against the Baltimore Ravens. Look, people still don't like T. Higgins. They still undervalue T. Higgins. Go out and get yourself T. Higgins. He's healthy. He's in his prime. He's good. He's in the Cincinnati offense. What more could you ask for? Go get T. Higgins if you can. Lesson number 6, DeAndre Swift and Javonte Williams are back, baby. After being left for dead, they are all the way back. Over the last 2 weeks, DeAndre Swift ranks 1st in expected fantasy points among all running backs, and Javonte Williams is 7th. Both have looked much better over the last 2 weeks, and this week, DeAndre Swift is a very strong start facing that terrible Jacksonville defense. He's had 2 good matchups in a row. He's smashed. Why can't he smash again? Now, Javonte does get a tougher matchup, but still, the usage is there for Javonte. He's taken over this backfield. There's no threat to him, and both of these guys have had terrible touchdown luck this year. DeAndre Swift has 5 goal line carries, and he's only scored 1 touchdown. Javonte Williams has had 3 goal line carries. He hasn't scored any yet. He even got vultured by Bo Nix on Sunday. Both of these guys have room for even more. I think they're both good starts this week. Obviously, Swift, the stronger start in the better matchup. If you held on to him through the rough times early in the year, you got to be feeling good right now. Lesson number 7, Drake London is being unlocked. If you held on to Drake London during his terrible week 1, or if you went out and bought low on Drake London after his terrible week 1, you got to be feeling fantastic right now. Since that week 1 dud, he is the wide receiver 3 in PPR scoring. Now, I get it. He just had a 33-point game. That is going to help elevate you. But look, he was good before that. He had 17, 18, and 12 PPR points in the 3 games prior. It's not like he did nothing and then exploded in one random week. Kirk Cousins only getting better and healthier. The offense starting to click, only going to get better. In my opinion, Drake London is a must-start wide receiver the rest of the season. He's a young wide receiver. He's a talented wide receiver. He's always just needed a quarterback, and now he has it. Drake London, get him in your lineups every week from now and the rest of the season. Lesson number 8, Chase Brown and Rico Dowdle. 2 running backs, 2 of our favorite late-round sleeper running backs. We talked these guys up all offseason, and at the start of the year, it looked like it was a total miss. Like these guys were going to be terrible. But what have we seen lately? Rico Dowdle has completely taken over this Dallas backfield. No question at all. And despite having 2 tough matchups in a row, he's produced. You want the RB1 in this Dallas backfield. You do, and there is no threat. Zeke is not a threat. So many people drafted Zeke over Dowdle because of name value. That is looking like a huge mistake. And so many people dropped Chase Brown, and yes, I was one of them, unfortunately. Luckily, I was able to get him back in that league, but that is also looking like a huge mistake because, sure, right now Zach Moss has an ankle injury. He may miss time, but even prior to that, Chase Brown was inching closer and closer to Zach Moss in terms of touches, in terms of productivity. Both these guys were left for dead early in the season because people can't look past 2-3 weeks of the season. This is a reminder, the fantasy football season is 17 weeks, not 3. Too early to give up on some of these guys. If you held on to them or were able to get them off the waiver wire, lucky you, you have potentially RB2s the rest of the season. Lesson number 9, Joe Flacco and Josh Downs. Now, I really want to focus on Josh Downs here, but I do want to say this about Joe Flacco. He's made 7 starts over the last 2 years. He's thrown for over 300 yards in 6 of those games. Any game that Joe Flacco starts this year, he is a strong start in your fantasy leagues. But I really want to take a look at Josh Downs and also a little bit of Michael Pittman. We thought Michael Pittman with Joe Flacco was going to get a huge bump, but instead it was Josh Downs that got the bump. Downs led the team with a 26% target share, a very strong first read percentage of 33, and had almost 20 expected fantasy points in this game. Now, what are we going to see when Anthony Richardson comes back? We don't know, but Josh Downs was a player we were really talking up in the offseason until he had that ankle injury. He's a talented wide receiver. He's entering year 2. He could become the number 1 wide receiver here in Indianapolis. Do not sleep on Josh Downs. If for some reason he's still sitting on your waiver wire, go add Josh Downs, or maybe try to go buy very low on Josh Downs right now, because I think there's a chance he's the number 1 here, not Pittman. Lesson number 10, I think the biggest buy low right now is Breece Hall. You got to go buy low on Breece Hall if you can. I know he's had 2 miserable games. I know it looks like Braylon Allen is taking all the touches from him, but that's not really true. When you look at the last 2 games, Breece Hall has played 73% of the snaps. He's had 52% of the carries, and he's out-targeted Braylon Allen 8-3. He is still clearly the head and shoulders number 1 running back in this offense. They just happen to face 2 really good defenses. The Denver Broncos, despite how bad they were last year, have made big strides on defense and are the 11th toughest defense against running backs. And then this last game in London against the Vikings, they're an elite defense, but they're really, really elite against running backs. They are the 3rd toughest against running backs right now. Now, this week against the Bills defense that historically has been good against the run, but this year they are the 2nd worst against running backs. They are terrible against the run. There is a good chance Breece Hall pops off this week and the buy low window closes. But here's the real reason you need to go buy low on him right now. Look at his finishing schedule. He finishes the season with Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jaguars, Rams, and the Bills in championship week. Those are all smash matchups for Breece Hall. This is a guy who could have a relatively slow start to the season and then be a league winner when it matters most down the stretch and in the fantasy playoffs. Go get Breece Hall now if there is any buy low window in your league. And then you know what? 10's not enough. Here's a bonus lesson learned. These are the defenses you need to stream against this year. Even before the season, we thought, Commanders, Giants, you're definitely going to stream against those defenses, but they've actually been pretty good recently. But the defenses that we now know 5 weeks into the season are terrible is Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and the Panthers. You want to start anybody against these defenses. QB, tight end, running back, wide receiver, get those guys in your lineups if you can. But there are also some other defenses that we can exploit positions on. First of all, the pass funnel defenses. These are the defenses that are strong against the run, but weak against the pass. Defenses like the Vikings, Ravens, and Lions all rank among the top 10 against running backs, but the bottom 10 against wide receivers. These are matchups you might want to fade running backs in, but start wide receivers in. And then on the flip side, we have those defenses that are bad against running backs, but strong against the pass. Defenses like the Bills, Dolphins, and Bears. Maybe you don't want to start fringe type wide receivers against them, but you should feel good about starting running backs against them. We're 5 weeks into the season. We have enough data now that we know these defenses are probably going to be bad rest of the season, and we should take advantage of it if possible. And you should take advantage of all the amazing content we're dropping this week. You can find it all on the playlist right here.